Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, January 6th. From the San Antonio Express News, my name is Luis Vasquez, and this is your Express Briefing. All of the stories you need to know to start your day. You can expect a high of 69 degrees with some rain in San Antonio today. Another cold front is expected later this week, dropping temperatures below 60 degrees. Republicans, mounting an unprecedented challenge to Joe Biden's election win, are setting up a congressional showdown today that threatens to divide their party and the country for years to come. On Tuesday, San Antonio broke records for new coronavirus cases and virus-related hospital admissions. Access to the coronavirus vaccine has been hard to come by, and we want to hear from you about it. So head over to expressnews.com to find out more about that. And now let's move on to our top stories for the day. Community Labs is expanding its coronavirus testing efforts in local schools and across Texas amid a surge in the pandemic that is threatening to overwhelm the state's healthcare systems. The state has contracted with the San Antonio-based nonprofit to provide up to 10,000 tests per day for first responders, particularly firefighters, in Laredo and El Paso, two cities hit especially hard by the pandemic. Community Labs has done some testing in Bernie and Kerrville, but its work in the two border cities will be its furthest venture outside of Bexar County since its creation last summer. We have everything you need to know about that plan over at expressnews.com. Hope for Hounds is a nonprofit that offers free veterinary care at communities under the bridge for pets of San Antonio's unsheltered population. Ross and Jill Powell, who founded the nonprofit, said services include health checks, vaccinations, spay-neuter surgeries, and implanting microchips. They hold clinics every 6 weeks. According to the Pets of the Homeless, 5 to 10% of Americans who are homeless have cats or dogs. The Powells estimated that 10% of the people living on San Antonio streets have pet dogs. It keeps people alive, Ross Powell said. Read more about the challenges of owning and caring for a pet while homeless over at expressnews.com. COVID has gotten us real good at pivoting. Assistant City Manager Dr. Colleen Bridger was talking Tuesday about the way state health officials keep giving local communities a case of whiplash when it comes to the administration of the COVID-19 vaccine. Metro Health had a plan in place for the city to initially concentrate on vaccinating frontline workers, Phase 1A, with the scarce initial dose of the vaccine, then gradually expand at a rate where the eligible kept pace with the availability of the vaccine. On December 29th, the Texas Department of State Health Services threw those plans out the window, Gilbert Garcia writes. You can read the rest of his column in your Express News subscription. Now that more Texans can receive the coronavirus vaccine, find out everything you need to know over at expressnews.com. We also have a dashboard monitoring how much of the state has been vaccinating and another dashboard where we're tracking San Antonio's COVID-19 case counts, hospitalizations, positivity rates, and more. You can find both those dashboards over at expressnews.com. Next up are your need-to-know headlines. You can find all of these headlines and more inside of your Express News subscription. Hospitals in Bexar County are now caring for more coronavirus patients than at any other point in the pandemic as the virus continued its winter assault on the San Antonio region Tuesday and broke records for new cases and daily hospital admissions. As COVID-19 hospitalizations soar in San Antonio with no end in sight, hospitals are making moves to conserve beds for the sickest patients and stretch beyond their normal capacities. Rackspace Technology Incorporated has settled a lawsuit against an ex-employee who it alleged threatened to go to the media with concerns about its business practices unless it paid him severance. U.S. gasoline prices could hit $3 a gallon by the end of this year if the national economy makes a strong recovery from the coronavirus pandemic, according to a new report. President-elect Joe Biden on Tuesday announced that 2 University of Texas at San Antonio graduates were appointed to the incoming White House staff. President Donald Trump's one-hour phone conversation with Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger fell in the category that is unique to the Trump presidency. Shocking but not surprising. Check out the latest edition of the Puro Politics podcast for former Texas House Speaker Joe Straus's take. The Express News editorial board writes, quote, "The refusal to acknowledge reality and the will of the American electorate is disgraceful and disturbing and will undermine confidence in our elections." Read the latest editorial, Have You No Decency, Senator Ted Cruz, over at expressnews.com. American Airlines is flying again to Del Rio after a 3-month hiatus. But service to the South Texas border city could end again as soon as federal stimulus money runs out at the end of March. The San Antonio Police Department issued only 1 citation and 20 warnings for fireworks on New Year's Eve, despite videos showing illegal fireworks lighting up the night sky. U.S. Senator John Cornyn took a shot at his fellow Texas senator Tuesday over Ted Cruz's call for an emergency audit of the presidential election results, drawing attacks from President Donald Trump in the process. Toyota ended 2020 with a sales spike that softened the pandemic's blow and helped the automotive giant emerge from the year stronger than expected. As the clock runs out on the Trump administration, one missed opportunity stands out to business columnist Michael Taylor. Find out why he expected Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin to have taken mortgage companies Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac out of limbo. The state has designated Methodist Hospital Stone Oak as a Level 3 trauma center, boosting its ability to take care for critically injured patients. But 3 years ago, a BAMC commander feared adding trauma centers to the city would take away from the military hospital's training mission. Quote, "No one who's experienced serious illness or injury is surprised vaccination's not going well," writes Chris Tomlinson in his latest column. America's healthcare system fails again, focused on profit over patients. On the Dallas Cowboys' attendance, Mike Finger writes, quote, "In terms of uncoveted achievements, biggest crowds in a pandemic ranks right up there with most hot dogs consumed at a hunger strike and loudest curse words uttered during a church service." Sylvia Foster Frau writes, quote, "On the Monday before Christmas, I accepted the job of my dreams as multiculturalism reporter for the Washington Post. On the Monday after, my grandfather passed away. In my application to the Washington Post, I described the column my grandfather used to write in El Puertorriqueño, a local Puerto Rican paper in Chicago called Cositas que ni se dicen ni se comentan, or the things that people don't say or even mention. Growing up, I said I wanted to be a journalist before I knew of my grandfather's columns. When I did learn of them, it made sense. Of course, the humble man who had long admired journalists would have a granddaughter who would become one. It was genetics, or the American dream. Read Sylvia Foster Frau's full column over at expressnews.com. When the luxury hotel, Thompson San Antonio, opens next month, expect to find a familiar face in the kitchen. Noted San Antonio chef Steve McHugh will launch Landrace, a restaurant focused on Texas-grown ingredients prepared largely on a wood-burning grill. Jumpstart Performance Company's performance party, titled Traditionally Untraditional, will be a little different this year, but one thing remains the same. It will end with fire. Available in H-E-B stores, Hungry Buddha Keto Bar's Nutritious Punch is a good start to your resolution to eat healthier. Country fans, saddle up. Eli Young Band is coming to the San Antonio area in March. Southerly Hot South is bringing new brunch options to the Rim, including the Hot South Cold Bar Bloody Mary, which is sure to be a foodie Instagram standout. Catch up with a discovery of witches before Season 2 premieres on Shudder and Sundance. Also, read the rest of our roundup of what's new and notable in home entertainment over at expressnews.com. And that's all for today. This was your Express Briefing for Wednesday, January 6th. My name is Luis Vasquez. Please consider becoming an Express News subscriber to get in-depth coverage on all the stories you heard today. Also, be sure to rate and review this podcast inside of your Apple Podcast app, as it really helps the show. Have a wonderful day, everyone.